With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. So say goodbye to grocery store runs and say hello to tons of new recipes filled with quality proteins, fresh produce, and easy to follow instructions. So go to HelloFresh.com/brothers50 and use code brothers50 for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/brothers50 and use the code brothers50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Bon appetit, uglies.
Now from Hollywood, California, the horror capital of the world, the Boulet Brothers, creatures of the night.
Hello, darlings, and welcome to a new episode of the Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night. Now, I have to apologize because we are a week late, but as we mentioned on a previous podcast, we have been very busy filming some special content for you that you will learn about probably in like 2 months or something like that.
Oh, yeah, something like that. If I have to take a moment and breathe it in and assess my current state, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, I feel like a crazy person.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit like a crazy person. And you know what? What better time to record a podcast than when you're feeling kind of crazy?
That's what I was thinking. It's hour 12 or 13 on set.
Yeah, why not?
I've seen a lot of crazy stuff today. I've seen a lot of emotional craziness.
Uh-huh.
Certainly that rivals season 4, episode 5, I would say.
Oh
right?
my God. Well, I saw a lot of emotional craziness too at some point this afternoon, and a lot of it was coming from you, Drac.
That's true. That's the unexpected part.
Yeah,
right?
I think you were rivaling season 4, episode 5.
Not you, bitch.
Not very John Galliano.
I wore my slippers to work today, and I didn't bring a second outfit.
Nope. I got on stage and ripped someone's wings right off their costume.
Yeah.
With my guitar.
And yeah, that's pretty much how today went. Very crazy, but fun, I guess.
No, it was amazing.
Yeah. It's going to make good content, that's for sure, but I'll need another year of therapy afterwards. I think I usually, like December and January, I kind of hole off by myself and be like, I'm quitting all this. I'm going to go to therapy and be normal.
That's the way it used to be. That's how it was a few years ago. But we've entered
last year.
Entered a new era. But you didn't have much time to do it. You did it for what, 2 weeks, and then it was like boop boop on to the next thing. We were on the U.S. tour.
I think it was 3 because everyone went away for Christmas, and I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's when Ian and Nathan went to Japan too,
that's right.
And then we were left in Los Angeles to deal with our existential dread and depression.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everybody,
and Happy New Year.
But we climbed back on the horse. We did halfway to Halloween, and it was fantastic. And here we are again.
Here we are again.
Couple of so obviously we're filming a project, so we've been really crazy. So sorry, everybody, that we haven't been on air. And I do say sorry because people depend on the podcast. I have learned that people look at listening to the podcast as if they're hanging out with friends. They're hanging out with us. We're all talking and catching up. And I understand that because there's podcasts that I listen to now that are very similar that I'm like, I'm driving to set and it takes a half an hour or whatever. And I'm like, I need to check in with my girls every day and kind of have my cold brew.
100%. Just like any other media or television show, like when you expect it and you turn the channel and you want it to be there and it's not there, like that really sucks.
It sucks. And so that's why I'm going to announce it right now.
Oh, here we go.
That we are going to be doing the Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night.
Don't do it.
Every week. Every week.
Starting sometime in the near future.
Because the podcast that I listen to, when they don't come out every week, I'm like, fuck you. You know what? I'm like, fuck you a little bit. I'm like, I'm on my way to work. I need some free entertainment. I was looking forward to catching up with my girls, and you're not there. Fuck you.
Wow.
And I don't want to be that person. So we're going to do it every week.
Oh.
And we're going to want to kill ourselves. It's going to be great.
Oh, wow. Speaking of wanting to kill themselves, when I looked at Ian's face and we said we're doing a podcast tonight, she put the happy face on. She put the trooper on. She ran across the room and guzzled a Red Bull right here at the edge of midnight. And we've been going for like 15 hours today. And you know what? I don't think she wants to kill it. I think she's ready to show up and have a good time tonight.
I don't know anybody else that can manage a gigantic set like this. 50 or 60 people, have a rat shit on them, and they still show up to do the podcast after midnight. Atta girl. So anyways, what else is going on?
Podcast After Midnight sounds like a sequel to Creatures of the Night or something.
Podcast After Midnight.
It's like, it's a sassy conversation between like horny girls who want to like explore new cities and the adventures that they might hold. Maybe it's just me.
I think so. You know what's getting me through tonight?
What?
My trusty Creatures of the Night Tumblr right here. You can hear it.
It's so beautiful.
It is beautiful. And you know what?
It's a conversation piece.
Thank you, everyone at home that bought up all the Creatures of the Night merch, because it is nearly sold out. And that makes me very happy, because that means people love the podcast and they want to be part of it. And I really want people to take pictures of themselves at the movie theater. So make sure you tag us and Ian and Creatures of the Night when you take pictures of yourself at the movie theater with your snack pouch.
That would bring me so much joy.
Yeah.
And where are the testimonials? Because these are quality. They look so good.
Everyone online talking about how, because you couldn't tell them, you're like, you know, hey, this is really like a premium item. This isn't just like a cheap plastic cup. And people are like, you can't, you know, how do they know? They're just seeing pictures of it. But the people that have ordered them of like, oh my God, it's really high quality and all. Yeah, they are. They don't sweat. That was important to me. They do not sweat. I hate that when you have like, you know,
sweating
iced coffee or whatever.
sucks.
Yeah, no, but when the cups sweat and it gets all over everything, I can't
the cup
stand that.
sweat sucks too.
So yeah, so that's happening. We also are getting ready and geared up for Midsummer Scream, which is coming up very shortly. If you are in the LA area or anywhere within a couple of hours of LA, you should definitely come out to see us at Midsummer Scream, because for the first time, we're going to have not only us, but a bunch of the winners from the show. We're going to have Landon Sider.
Who else is going to be there, Drag?
Dali,
Who else is going to be there?
Saint is confirmed now.
Victoria is going to be there with
Elizabeth
us.
Black.
It'll be amazing.
So we're going to do a panel like in the big, there's like a huge amphitheater. It's like the main room, and we're going to do a big Dragula panel there. And we're going to speak about sort of like the origins of Dragula, like how we came up with it and all that stuff. And then we're going to also bring out the winners and sort of interview them. And that's going to be great. And then we're also going to have a big booth with some set pieces from the show. There's going to be makeup demos. So Landon and Victor, all of them are going to do little demonstrations to kind of show like, you know, how they transform into the drag monsters that they are, but they're not going to do it on themselves. They're going to do it on a model, which I think would be really interesting to watch.
I think that's super cool. And we, of course, we love to go to Midsummer Scream and Monster Palooza, Son of Monster Palooza, and all the other like horror conventions that happen around Southern California. And you do see stuff like that. And I think it's like, as you're traveling through, there's so much to look at. When you can catch a good makeup transformation, like right at the right moment, it can just pull you in, and it's mesmerizing. It's like entertainment for a while.
I love to go in full like disguise to Midsummer Scream, like on a Sunday morning when no one's there. Well, actually, there's never no one there. There's like 10 gazillion people.
Packed.
But if you can sneak in with a pass that no one else can have.
So hey, you know what? It might not feel like it could happen, but trust me when I tell you, it can happen.
If you can use your talent pass to sneak in.
Oh my God.
But if you get on there on Sunday
Guma.
morning and just shop and look at all the Halloween stuff there, like we almost took this like pumpkin carving class, and there was like
you can make your own like a tombstone in
so
there at a foam.
cute.
And then
I
you go.
love it.
My favorite is the Hollow Shadows or whatever they call it, when you can go through mini samples of like all the haunts around. It's so fun.
So that's happening. Have we talked about Outfest yet on the podcast?
I don't think we have. No.
So Outfest is featuring performers from the Boulet Brothers Dragula this year. Outfest's happening right now, but it goes on for like 2 or 3 weeks. And they have a big showcase featuring the monsters of Dragula. And we have Dali's going to be there, and the icon Coco Kane and Landon Sider. It's going to be really cool. So if you want to go see them, that's in Los Angeles for the next 2 weeks, I believe. I don't know the exact date, but it's going to be cool. You should go see it.
Absolutely. So much exciting stuff on the horizon, and a lot more stuff to talk about here on Creatures of the Night. But before we go any further, we're going to take a quick break after these commercials, and we'll be right back.
Refill your tumblers, Junior Mints.
Okay, darlings, we need to talk about my new favorite thing in the world, HelloFresh. What is HelloFresh about, you might ask? With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. So say goodbye to grocery store runs and say hello to tons of new recipes filled with quality proteins, fresh produce, and easy to follow instructions. It's healthy, it's affordable, it's easy. That's why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. They have over 40 different meals you can choose from every week, so you will never get bored and you will always find something new and delicious to love, I promise. I recently tried the creamy chicken and mushroom cavatappi with cream sauce and garlic and Parmesan, and it was sinfully good. So go to HelloFresh.com/brothers50 and use code brothers50 for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/brothers50 and use the code brothers50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Bon appetit, uglies. Welcome back, uglies, to the newest episode of Creatures of the Night. And the time has come for us to throw open the doors and welcome to the podcast our co-host and cohort in crime, Ms. Ian DeVogler. Ian, darling, welcome to the show.
Maguma 3 reporting for duty. I'm freshly Red Bulled. I have some water. I'm ready. It's midnight recording a podcast.
Do you think
Wait, podcast after midnight.
Podcast after hot and horny girls in your area want to record podcasts with you.
Yes, I needed you for backup 10 minutes ago.
Drac wouldn't let me out of the cage. She was like, drink this Red Bull right now.
get back in the rat cage?
Well, here you are.
Yes.
Here you are, backing me up.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. Is it weird, sadistic, fucked up, masochistic? I don't know that I'm like really happy we're recording the podcast right now. I'm like,
I
it's
missed it. We're a little late.
The only people that I'd be like, oh, it's midnight. Like, let's just work for another hour. I'm like, hi, I love us.
I, first of all, got here the first person this morning.
Oh my God, you texted me at like 7 a.m. I was like,
I don't even know what
girl,
time it is
what?
anymore. And I went to bed at like 3. I don't know. I'm like, at least Swan didn't wake me up again today like she did the other day. I'm going to tell the story. So
no,
we
you
start,
should.
we're filming this.
We're gonna tell it because I have a perspective. Go on.
Well,
Go
we're
on.
filming this project, and it's very hard to sleep. For like 2 months, it's just really intense. You work all the time, and things change constantly. So it's hard to relax and sleep. Finally, we get to sleep one night. That's about it. And Swan wakes me up and is like, do you got that? And I'm like, what? And she's like, your alarm went off twice. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Because I'm like, I don't want to be late because if I'm late here, you know. So I look at my phone. I'm like, it's 6 a.m. And she's like, oh, I guess I dreamed it. Rolled over, back to sleep within like 50 seconds.
Yes.
Me, wide awake. I'm like, well, I guess I'm up now.
So Swan, what is your version?
No, I mean, it's basically exactly that. It's basically exactly that, but I was completely convinced. And, you know, a lot of times when I'm overstressed or overstimulated, I dream super lucidly and all kinds of stuff can happen, and definitely it could feel real. Like I was hanging out with Lisa Rinna and Kyle Richards the other night in my dream, and literally it was a full-on Kiki and carrying on. They wanted my advice about how to film the next season and what was going to be like the most attractive. As they should.
Yeah, as they should.
Exactly. But yeah, I was convinced that the alarm had gone off twice, and I didn't want Drac to be late. I didn't want to be late, and you know, it didn't happen. But
were you like, Lisa, you're on pause. Kyle, divorce drama. There you go.
Oh
Good
my
night.
God.
I'm like, Kyle, you need to spice it up. This is what I told her like last week. I was like, you need to spice it up. Lesbian affair.
Oh, no. So anyways, back to the story. So got in here early as hell. Crew comes in. We're painting. They probably think we're insane. Film all day, all night. It's
You're talking about today?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it has literally been like a 12-hour filming blitzkrieg.
My question for you all was, them knowing that, and then we're done. We all had the same day together. They're leaving, and they see us getting ready to do a podcast. What do you think that they think?
I don't know what they think, but it is funny to me because there were like 3 or 4 different crew members who were like, okay, good night, Ian. What are you going to do? And I'm literally setting up podcasts going, they're like, are you recording now? And I'm like, yes, get out. I have to record this. You're actually in my way.
I'll tell you Israel came in here, got his foot out for you. So.
She did.
What did you call it? Foot finder?
So I told Israel, I was like, hey, Israel, listen, cut me in 20% and I will manage your foot finder account.
He was over here with his feet out. I was like, what?
She was showing them hogs for free.
I know. Anyways, this is how much we care about our podcast listeners. We're here.
And we love it.
We're
excited about
it.
We
love it.
And I'm not used to it.
Yeah, I'm not. Anyways, do you have some news for us?
Yeah, why don't we hear some news?
Spirits, sirens, sissies, and sassy specters, heed my call. Tonight we are venturing deep into the realm of demonic dom-top daddies and fussy fruitcakes with all the latest news from the worlds of Hollywood and horror. Join hands with the person closest to you and prepare for a terrifying journey into the unknown. Our first order of business in tonight's Seance Gone Sideways is the news that Art the Clown will be terrorizing 700 theaters across the United States for the largest theatrical release of the cult classic film in response to the success of 2022's Terrifier 2 and in preparation for Damien Leone's confirmed threequel, Terrifier 3. Tickets are currently on sale, and interested listeners dying to take a trip to the theater should act fast, as the theatrical release will only last for a week before Art is banished back to the cult classic film from whence he came.
I love this sex.
Podcast after midnight, horny girls in your area.
Podcast
Art the
after
Clown, your thing.
midnight.
Yeah, podcast
Clown
after
porn.
midnight.
Ooh, Durla.
Ooh.
Not Durla.
I love what I was trying to say was I love the success that keeps getting breathed into Terrifier and Terrifier 2.
Totally.
I love Lauren. I love the whole franchise. Like, I just get excited that there could be like a small indie production company like that makes something that just hits a tone for people, and it's original and it's cool, and we just haven't had a character like that born in so long.
Yeah, I feel like Art the Clown is cementing himself as a horror icon. You know, I think we talked about this when we reviewed Terrifier, and it's like there have been so many attempts to build a new horror icon, but none of them really stick, you know? And I feel like he's sort of original. He's kind of a mix between Freddy and Michael Myers and all these other characters. And I'm like, I love Art.
Who is Art most like? Like, as far as horror icons?
Okay, actually, really weirdly, I think that she is most like Bugs Bunny. Because her, like, you know, her,
The
like...
horror icon,
Bugs Bunny.
I can't. Oh my God, so scary. Oh my God. But no, like, you know, I think like the way that he sort of manifests all these weapons out of that bag, like it's almost sort of a just like total fantasy. I mean, it's like gross and in our reality, but it's like, what does Art need to mutilate this random person? Like a cat of 9 tails made of scalpels. Okay, just like pulls it out of a bag.
He's like the Zack Snyder killer clowns from outer space.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
It's like, you know how they took the Joker?
Uh-huh.
That's not Zack Snyder, but still, like how they took the Joker and they're like, let's make the Joker real and dark and all that.
Yeah.
It's like if they did that with killer clowns from outer space, you would have Art the Clown.
See, I was thinking more, I guess, just classic, like Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger combined. Because we have like the silent killer, but then we have that kind of repulsive comedy.
Yeah.
And it's just the two of them.
And it's really the blend of like, you know, what is dream and what's reality.
Yeah.
And even, what is it? In Terrifier 2, there's that shot literally where it's like Art appears in that sort of alleyway and there's like all the fog and stuff. And I'm like, this is a direct rip from the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Our next nefarious Netherworld news item comes to us all the way from the Mall of America, where a brand new 45,000 square foot haunted attraction is planned for this Halloween season. The largest shopping mall in America and the 11th largest in the world, by the way, is now hiring for this year's attraction, and interested scare actors can sign up and learn more at the official website before pre-sale tickets are released on August 1st.
Well, I love that that's happening, but
Same.
how many of us have been to the Mall of America?
I think, didn't the 3 of us go to the Mall of America together on tour one time?
I don't
know. Maybe.
I don't know.
It sounds like
I
something
felt like
we would do.
I felt like I didn't. I felt like I never was there. But if we actually went there and I forgot, that totally tracks.
Although I would say this, chances are if we went, we didn't go and like ride rides or like have fun. We went and like ate at Cheesecake Factory and worked and like had a meeting about Titans or something.
Sure, yeah.
I had to get some weird items at Dillard's or something so that we wouldn't die.
Some weird costume for me.
Exactly.
A costume thing broke, and I decided, you know what? We're on a world tour, and I'm changing this show completely.
Oh my
that
God.
sounds accurate.
Yeah. And the final demon to name in tonight's salacious summoning circle comes in the form of the fifth installment in the genre franchise, Insidious: The Red Door, which has officially pulled in over $120 million at the US box office following the second week of its official release. Insidious: The Last Key, the highest grossing film in the film franchise, wrapped up its theatrical run with a whopping $168 million. And of course, not that money is the end-all be-all of quality, but we'll be keeping an eye on the final film in the Insidious franchise to see if Miss Patrick Wilson has what it takes to take the top spot even further.
I mean, it sounds like it's a success, right? No matter how you slice it, right?
I think it's like the third highest grossing film of the weekend behind Mission Impossible and whatever number 2 is.
I haven't heard a ton about it, but then again, we have all these strikes right now. You know, people can't promote their projects, so
We've also been reclused to this studio,
We've also
too.
been
so,
locked in this
yeah,
giant warehouse.
We've been working like 15 hours a day, but we snuck out to
that
watch the
happened.
movie.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know. Hi. I love like behind the scenes. We're like, oh, hey, like we are going to, spoiler, we're going to record a podcast and we're going to review Insidious. And I'm like, ooh, I got to find 3 hours to go to the movies.
But we did. And on that note, Swan and I are going to move into this episode's creature feature movie review, and it's going to be a double feature this episode.
Ooh.
Because we saw Barbie. Yes, you heard that right. We saw Barbie, and we also saw Insidious: The Red Door. So why don't we start with Barbie?
Okay.
So my first question for you is, are you a Barbie girl? Like when you were a child, were you into Barbies or no?
I am not a Barbie girl. I don't think that many people would have guessed that. No, I don't know. Maybe I look a little bit like Barbie.
I think I could see it.
I think if I styled myself just the right way, I would be giving Barbie, but I was not a Barbie girl. I didn't really play with dolls very much at all. But of course, tons of people in my neighborhood had Barbies and I knew all about them. And of course, I had a few favorites with like the big hair and like, you know, Skipper was cute and all that. But I never really had Barbies.
I feel like every time I went to like someone's house that had Barbies, they always had the trashy like the
weird Barbie
that was like, that was like in panties with like magic marker makeup, and they had like asymmetrical like Whitney Houston haircut.
Oh, the hair
like,
was mangled and there was like a crayon for makeup on the face.
And their legs were permanently not, you know, like they lost the like tension, so they were just like open all the time.
Missing shoe.
Yeah. Oh, missing everything but the panties or something like that usually.
Tragedy.
But I love that they actually referenced that in the film. Weird Barbie was probably my favorite moment.
Oh, totally. That's the thing about the Barbie movie. It was really smart. It kind of clapped back to so many things from Barbie world, going back to whenever Barbie was incepted, like the 50s, 40s, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. It did feel like to me that it had a little bit of an identity crisis because I felt like it kept shifting, right? So like on one hand, it had these really like dark comedic moments that were very witty and just I laughed. Like the beginning when you have these small children with the baby dolls and then they see the giant Barbie and they start breaking them. And I mean, that's it right there. That's it in a nutshell. And I almost wished I could have seen a whole movie about that.
Oh, I totally get that.
But then on the other hand, we had this really strong sort of messaging and this existential dread, and she would cry. And I don't know, I just felt like it was like two movies kind of sloppily clobbed into one.
I guess to each their own. Like, I thought it was a good harmony of the messaging. I felt like when Barbie was created, Barbie was supposed to redefine how girls thought about themselves in a positive way. As the president, Barbie as the skipper of this yacht, Barbie is a model, Barbie is the photographer, like Barbie is everything. But it just kind of like got warped, and then it gave girls like this weird sense, like your waist has to be like 2 inches big and your feet have to be perfect and your hair, you have to be blonde and you know, and all of that.
Yeah.
So I think
They had
maybe the
modest
schizophrenic
attempts at diversifying over the years.
I would say maybe better than modest.
Maybe.
I don't know. Look at the cast. It was so diverse.
Oh, the movie did. I mean the actual product, though. Like through the 70s and 80s and all. I don't know.
Okay, it took them a minute. But I think eventually you saw, Barbies of every shade, not really every shape, I would say. I feel like that's one area where Barbie really kind of like rammed it down girls' throats. Like, this is beauty, right? It's thin.
Yeah, I think it was in 2016 that they introduced their first, like, I don't know, they didn't call it plus size, but it was like...
It was
thicker.
Carby.
No, it was... No, the Deluxia. It was like so like, please don't. It was so lame, Brian. I was like, don't do that. Yeah, anyway, so they did try to create some body diversity, but it was sort of, I don't know, done in a weird way. But back to the movie, I thought the movie did a great job of diversifying because everyone was pretty. Everyone looked cartoony, but you had people of all colors and shapes and sizes, and I thought that was fantastic.
It was cool to see. I feel like the world needs a movie like just to be able to see stuff like that, like sort of all together in a dreamy world like Barbie Land where everything is sort of ideal and like, why not having women in control? It's great. I feel like people are freaking out over that. They're freaking out over like basically straight men are like they can't handle the movie.
Right.
And like the conservatives are like going wild, which makes me want to love it more.
Yeah. Like, I mean, how tired are we of who cares? Like, I don't even want to talk about it. But so the movie, right? We're doing the movie review. So in a nutshell, the movie's about a fictional Barbie living in a perfect matriarchal world.
Yes.
And she goes on a journey of self-discovery, and then she ends up here in the real world and sort of realizes that her picture-perfect world is not the same. And, it's an existential dread after that, right?
Yes.
So is it what you thought it was going to be?
Absolutely not. Like, I didn't know what to expect, but I definitely didn't expect this like kooky kind of like surreal experience. I mean, it was highly stylized and imaginative.
Yes.
Like, I don't even think that does it justice. Like, there was like massive dance sequences and just crazy stuff that you would never think that was going to be in a Barbie movie.
Well, I mean, as a Barbie movie should have, right? Like, it should have all that sort of glamour. And I don't know. I feel like I would be more okay with seeing that than like Barbie's crying and saying like, have you ever thought about death? I'm like, no, I didn't expect to see that in a Barbie
right.
movie.
No, I know.
I do think, the messaging was good, right? But I just thought it was oddly kind of placed. It didn't land for me. I know it landed for a lot of people, a lot of women it resonated with, which I think is cool,
Yeah.
There's probably some messaging there that I just don't understand. So I just felt like overall I didn't love it. I felt like the writing was really funny in some parts, and then it sort of like took a weird turn in other parts, and Ken was very strange and off-putting. I don't know. I just didn't think the flow of the movie was great, and I didn't think the writing was great either.
I thought Ken should have been off-putting. I think I've said this to you before too. Like, when we think about other famous couples or, cartoons, we almost always think about the man. It's Fred Flintstone, and then there's Wilma, and it's George Jetson, and then there's Jane. But with Barbie and Ken, it's Barbie and Ken is the handbag.
Yeah.
Like, Ken is the accessory.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like he should have felt like that through the whole movie. Did I think it was perfect? No. Was the writing consistent? Maybe not. But I do appreciate like the wild vision that it was and the hardcore messaging through it, because there was some stuff in there, like when said all out in one paragraph, like sort of like the impossible standards that women kind of like hold themselves up to and hold each other up to.
Yes.
It's like, you can't win.
Right.
And there wasn't one lie in there. Not one lie.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women in the audience were like, holy shit, like there it is, just laid bare for everybody. And it was powerful.
I agree with that. And that's the thing I think that works for it. The messaging was good. It was good to kind of start those conversations or have mothers talk to their daughters about things or different, that part was good. But I just thought it was delivered on a vehicle that was not as effective as it could be.
Yeah.
What do you think of the idea of how sort of adult it was? Because, when you think of Barbie's like an American icon, right? It's one of the most iconic American products of the last like 100 years. So it appeals to kids. It's a toy. So I assume a lot of people are like, I'm going to take my kid to see the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
And like, when you ever see movies like that where it's kind of written for adults, but it's dumbed down enough to where kids can get it and you kind of wink at the parents. I expected this to be like that, and it wasn't. I was like, your kid is not going to understand this movie. You're within the first 10 minutes. Like, I barely understood it. So I know that, like, what do you think? Do you think they should have like maybe dumbed it down.
I like what they did.
You
I
did.
liked what they did because I feel like it was safe to play to an older audience because, women that were playing with Barbies in the 60s are now like moms and grandmoms and stuff. They will take their daughters and their daughters will be exposed to concepts like patriarchy or misogyny and like, not that they use that word, but these concepts that, young girls and even young boys don't necessarily think about all the time. And that might spark conversation, which I think is valuable.
I saw there was a guy on Twitter that was talking about how as a gay man, he really resonated with the movie because Alan, for example.
Right.
Alan was there and Alan was just him and he didn't really fit in with the men and he didn't fit in with the women either. And he just sort of wanted the Barbies to come back and take over and be normal again, and he connected with that character.
Oh,
and
I
it
could
spoke to
totally
him.
see that.
Yeah, so like it's interesting. Like people are connecting with the movie in really interesting ways. So I do think it's smart. I don't know, for some reason it just wasn't my cup of tea.
Well, it's breaking records and it's got, $100 million bazillion dollars in sales. So congratulations to everyone on Team Barbie.
Yes, and that means Barbie 2, Revenge of Skipper is definitely coming.
And I can't wait.
All right, so let's move on to our next movie in this double feature, which is Insidious, The Red Door.
Yes.
Now, I was very excited to go see this film because we were just a guest on Horror Queers. And if you haven't listened to that episode, you should look up Horror Queers. It's another podcast, and they review all sorts of queer horror movies or talk about queer subtext in horror movies. And we were recently a guest there, and we talked about Insidious 2. And they love to talk. I mean, this was like a 2-hour... The podcast was longer than the movie that we reviewed, which was Insidious 2.
That's hilarious. When I looked at the runtime and they were like, basically like, bring your like podcasting dress and you make it a cozy one because we're going to be here for like 3 hours. But it just flowed. It was fun. Like, I really enjoyed myself.
Time with it,
yeah,
I've never
really
done
enjoyed.
a 2-hour podcast
and it made us
before.
go back and rewatch Insidious 2, which I haven't seen it in years. And I forgot how good it was.
I love it. And they didn't like it.
No,
that much.
I don't think that is not a popular opinion because I think number one is so good and iconic, and number two, people are like whatever. But I really look because why.
It's campy.
It's super
draggy.
campy.
It's campy. I was like, oh, I love this movie. I totally forgot. It's very like Mommy Dearest, and I'm all about it. So, okay, we watched Insidious 2 and then quickly went to see The Red Door after. So it was very rewarding to see the family again and to see
the Lambert family is all back together again. And the cast, it was just like a dream come true to have them all together again in one film.
And we love that. I think both of us love sort of movies, legacy movies that brings back all the characters and the actors. And also I was very excited to go see this movie. It wasn't what I expected. It took a very different turn. Like the previous films have sort of centered around the house and the family. And it felt very familiar. This one didn't. It started that way, but then it quickly jumped to follow Dalton to college.
Yeah.
And so everything sort of started to unfold in the college and around the college. And so that wasn't what I expected necessarily. And I didn't love that part of it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it kind of imbued it with everything that you would expect from like a college setting, like drinking and sex and like a young kind of like sense of humor. And after watching the first act of the movie, I'm like, wow, this is about loss. This family is ripped apart. It's psychological. Like Dalton is now broody and he's an artist and he's going away. And I felt like we were going to go to like really dark places. But then we went to like Party City at the college, at the Kappa Phi Alpha house. And I was like, wait, this is weird.
But then towards the end of the movie, they sort of picked back up with Insidious as expected, right? We started to see the demons
more into the further.
And then we started to, okay, now, because just in case people listening haven't seen the movie yet, this basically picks up 10 years later after Insidious 2. At the end of Insidious 2, they were hypnotized, to forget that all these things happened. So it's been 10 years. The families went through all these struggles and
and they've tried to lie to the kids. Like the mother is like lying to the other sibling, like, oh, none of that stuff really happened. You're not remembering. And it ends up like deteriorating the fabric of the family and they get divorced. And it's really dark.
And so it picks up with Dalton going to college. And then during his experiences in college, he starts to remember. He starts to unwind and he starts to remember, I can visit the further and what is it and all this. And at the same time, Josh, Patrick Wilson, who is the father, they both start getting triggered and they start remembering. And so it sort of opens up Pandora's box again, right? It really starts culminating towards the end of the movie. So then you start seeing like little cameos from the demons again. And you're like, oh my God. Like,
Yes, I was getting so excited.
Right. But then we didn't play with the demons.
We didn't get a
much.
lot of demon. We didn't get a lot of demon love. And that was a little disappointing because I think it's one of my favorite things about The Further. Like, I love when something happens, like a movie comes out and it's like, oh, this is the new thing. And I'm like, yes, I'm so excited about that thing. And then when the sequel comes out, I'm like, can't wait to see the new thing. You know, I get so excited by the new thing. And we just didn't get anything new, but we also didn't get enough of the stuff that we know we love already. The red-faced demon or the Black Bride or any of them.
Right. I mean, they said that this was supposed to be the final chapter with the family. This is like the end of an era. But to me, I felt like they left the door open and it did really well at the box office.
The red door.
Right. And so I'm like, maybe it's not the last one. You know, maybe it's not the last time that we'll see them.
Yeah, it may not be. I do think there were some really good scares in there. There's like particularly the MRI moment, which I thought was like really different. I can't think of a scene that I've seen quite like that scene.
I'm surprised no one's done that yet.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's some people are very scared of those MRI machines.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm like, it's a nap. Like, but.
Well, there's that, but it is kind of like tunnel-like, and you know how I feel about that, like getting rolled in a carpet
you
or
might
being in
not
a
like
tunnel,
it.
like rolled
in a carpet.
I'm like,
That's
seriously,
so
a literal
specific.
nightmare, like a Tom and Jerry Bugs Bunny nightmare from my childhood. No, but there were some good scares in there. I definitely jumped. You know, it's always kind of fun because we also got some of that stuff that we've seen in Insidious movies that we love, like going back and seeing footage from previous movies and then kind of spinning the diamond and looking at it through a different facet and seeing the same footage that you're familiar with, but just from like a different character.
I love that.
I love that.
I love because they did that in Insidious 2, and I really appreciate it. And I love that they carried it through. Because look, it's been a long time since they made one of these movies with this family. So I love that they went back to that and felt that. I guess I liked it. I think people should definitely go see it. I would have liked it to just be more Insidious because I love the franchise. And so I just wanted more of it, I guess is really what it is. I liked it. I could have watched 3 hours of this family and
left
the
wanting
demons
more.
and everything.
Yep, left wanting more. So speaking of more, there is a spin-off being whispered about in the works called Threads.
I thought that was a new app on Instagram.
It probably is.
It is.
It sounds like
It
sounds like vintage clothes or something.
Deny.
But this is actually a program or a project based in the Insidious world, and it's going to be coming out shortly. It's going to be starring Mandy Moore and Kumail Nanjiani, who are presumably going to be haunted by different demons from The Further. So I'm excited about it.
Oh, so it's nothing to do. It's not the
Totally
demons we're
different.
familiar with.
Yep, totally different.
Interesting.
Yeah. We shall see.
Yeah.
And on that note, we're going to take another break, and we will be right back after these commercials. Welcome back, my little darlings. It's time Ian, if you wouldn't mind doing the honors, reaches into the mailbag and we can answer some of your listener questions.
Tasha from Manchester asks, Hi, I'm super excited to see Victoria and Coco Kane on the upcoming Titans UK tour, but I am gutted that more monsters aren't coming. Why are there only 2 Titans on this UK tour?
Well, there's a couple reasons for that. And like I've mentioned on the podcast before, we do not decide lineups or schedules or anything like that. But we have something really special planned for the UK that we have not announced yet. We did announce the tour, but we did not go into the details of what else is happening on this tour. This is not all that's happening. There's something big happening with the tour that we weren't able to announce at the launch of tickets. But it's coming soon, and I think you'll understand why. There's going to be more performers and a bigger deal around the UK portion of the tour. But I don't know if it's going to be announced by the time this podcast comes out, so just stay tuned and you will understand why.
Lots of surprises.
Julian from Wisconsin writes, I'm a huge fan of the podcast, and by the way, I just got my Junior Mints tumbler and fanny pack. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Good taste, Julian. I love Creatures of the Night, and I have to know, bats, rats, snakes, or spiders?
Bats.
For me, it's easy in light of today's festivities.
I love rats, and rats love me.
I I guess I would say snakes. Like I think pythons
Yeah,
are
that makes sense for you.
pythons are so cute. They have little puppy faces. I do think bats are actually I think rats, bats, and snakes are cute. I do not fuck with ghosts. And I do not fuck with spiders. I'm sorry.
What is hunted? What is
Haunted.
that?
What
the hell is she
I think she
talking
says
about?
haunted.
She
Doesn't
does say haunted, but
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was like, I've seen I'm like, what is she talking about? I still to this day was like,
I don't
okay.
fuck with ghosts.
Like, what was hunted and hunted ghosts? I was like, okay, I don't know. Anyways,
Mary Cherry's here. That's
snakes.
fun.
What's your favorite kind of snake?
Well, I used to have a ball python, and
Yes.
I think they're super, super cute. I do also really love, I think like venomous snakes are really cool. Oh, actually, I'll say rattlesnakes, even though it's kind of easy, but I did just see a thing that it's like the way that rattlesnakes rattle is their rattles are just like 6 segmented pieces that are sort of loosely, they're not even really connected. They're just sort of like, they fit on top of each other, and then they just kind of like shake their ass really hard. And they just kind of like,
Truly your totem animal. I love
literally,
it.
I'm like, yes, queen, slay.
What is the next question?
Pop off, pussy hat.
Jesse from Los Angeles asks, y'all have had some incredible guests in the past. Dita Von Teese, Poppy, Lynn Shay, just to name a few. Why have y'all stopped having guests?
I really did enjoy having guests on the podcast, but it sucked up like the whole episode, right?
Yeah. I feel like we needed it to be like our third podcast. The first one being Creatures of the Night, the second one being Podcast After Midnight, obviously.
Obviously.
And then
God.
I feel like you, Drac, are a great interviewer, and you almost needed like your own show for that.
I feel like that too,
because
because I genuinely I am fascinated by how people's minds work. And I really okay, even friends of ours like Trixie. I want to ask Trixie some real questions. I want to ask her real stuff. Like, I want to be like, you are crazy. Like,
She's
you're
fascinating.
a neurotic
She's fascinating.
workaholic. Like, why? I want to know what motivates her, because she does sort of things that, I don't see any other drag queens work that hard outside of us. And I think she's the only drag queen I know that works harder than us, maybe. And I want to know what motivates her. Because I know what motivates me, and it's unhealthy, but I don't know what the hell's going on with her. Even people on our show, I would love to go back and be like, when you were on our show, why did you do X, Y, or Z? Because I just want to know.
I would love to know.
It doesn't even have to be big stuff. I almost feel like it'd be 5 burning questions that we have for competitors from the show. Why the hell did you do this, that, or the other?
Right, like Foxy.
What are you? Let me
like
ask
Foxy
you.
Ajue, why did you tell Melissa at the reunion of season 1 to get the fuck out of West Hollywood?
Seriously. But you know what? I bet there's not much of an answer to it. I think she was just drinking and just, I don't know.
Well, it's okay. You're making me think. This has happened a couple of times to us. I have fully realized and accepted that there is no one who loves the show more than us. And I don't even know that it's love. I think it's just an obsession, because we we went on the Titans tour and we just quote the show. It's our lives. And so we're like, hey, Melissa, we'll quote the show. And she's like, okay. Or literally all the time. And so I feel like we'd have to be careful with those questions. We'd be like, so Xochitl, on episode 1, you said, I'm coming for your tacos. What did you mean by that? And she'd be like, I don't remember that at all.
That?
Why would you say that?
Okay.
Wow.
What are your
Truly
burning
into
questions?
the mouth of madness.
Let's ask them. What are your if there are questions from the show that's just, and it doesn't have to be important, just why did so and so do this and that? What would your question be?
There's really only one question. Why did Madeline pull the hook out of Hollow's cheek before it was time?
Well, okay, that I think she would just say she thought that's what she was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think she didn't do it on purpose. I mean, although it was so confusing in the moment, it was what is happening?
Truly a moment.
It was.
Time. It's weird because watching it on the show, I think is a pretty accurate, but it's an accurate depiction of what happened, but it doesn't even hold a candle to the insanity of watching it live. Because I just remember it was the wind got sucked out of the room. I was like, this is crazy.
It was madness. It really was.
It was crazy for so many people for so many different reasons, but none of us knew. Hollow, whatever was going on with Hollow, it was very important for them to make sure that we saw that. Now, in the moment, we didn't know. We're like, why are they doing this?
Yeah.
But to
I
them,
mean-
they were like, I need to prove that I do this for real and it's not a gimmick or something. But I didn't understand in the moment. I was like, what is
Dragging
happening?
Louisiana over and stabbing her in the hand. I was like,
Henry
holy
Rollins,
shit.
he's like, I'm leaving. This is insane.
If you freak Henry Rollins out, like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, so many things come to mind if you just stop and you think for a minute. Like, why was Kendra cobbling a shoe?
What else? I mean, there's so many.
Loris has done a couple. Why did she boil blood during resurrection?
She was like cooking her own blood. That's so.
That's how you make it.
Yeah.
That is how you
You want
make
to know a
it.
secret? I know why
Everybody
she
knows.
did it.
I know exactly why she did
I
it
know
too.
why she did it too.
I think the three of us know why she did it.
I'm
and
not
that is-
gonna tell.
That's
that
for
is a
another
secret
podcast.
for
Yeah.
another podcast after midnight.
Well, anyways, that's what we're gonna do. This we're gonna ask listeners. I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna do it at the beginning of the next episode because if you wait to do it to the end of the episode, you don't get many questions. But I want to ask listeners if they had to ask anybody from the show anything, what is it? And we will call them and ask them. That's what we're gonna do.
That's
Love
fine.
it.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of the Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Remember, if you have listener questions for us, please email us at creatures@bouletbrothersdragula.com. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night wherever you listen to podcasts, but especially on Apple Podcasts, because it's a big deal for some reason that I don't quite understand.
Until next time, uglies.
See you next week now that we're weekly. Bye.
The Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night is hosted by the Boulet Brothers with their co-host and producer, Ian DeVogler. Engineered and mixed by Carlos Bueno with music by Neuron Spector.